Call the meeting to order of the Water Commissioners, November 6, 2018. We're going to jump ahead to new business number 1. Abatement for the Rowley Grange. I assume that's you.
Yeah, I get to be the rep tonight. There's some other things too that I want to bring up to the board attention because I'm not quite sure what the problem is and how it's going to be solved or what needs to be done. The first bill that was a shock was the one. Okay. We received a call saying that the Grange Hall was, the kitchen was water on the floor. And this was, had to be like...
Well, before we start, can you identify yourself?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Ann Press. I'm master of Rowley Grange.
Okay.
And when the treasurer filled this out, leaking hose in cellar, line located and shut off at 9:20. Bob is running a computer check of the meter. We discovered a leak in the dishwasher last month. Okay, so this covers 2 months. The first one was the leak in the dishwasher. Something malfunctioned in the dishwasher after our last supper, which would have been the end of June. And what we found was the kitchen floor had water all over it. The water had leaked down through the kitchen floor all over the top of the hot water heater. The hot water heater had been drained, apparently from the dishwasher continually calling for water. So that was the first thing. We, at that point, shut off all the water in the hall. So that should have solved the problem, because every valve was closed. When it came time to open up the valve, we had one of the workers here come down, and he found that the valve was, the main valve that goes out to the street, was already open, which we thought it had been closed. Anyhow, I realized at that point that the hose, this hose, which we have no idea where it came from, the valve was open and the hose had water in it. So at that point we said, well, the hose is not running, well, let's just let it go. We're going to have to warm the hall up again in September for the September supper. Much to our dismay, we received a bill for the use of 62,000 gallons of water. And they said that the hose itself was hissing downstairs. For the month prior, without really having used the hall, the use was 2,158 gallons of water. Our records pretty much indicate that during the months that we use the hall, which for suppers, which are March, April, May, and June, and then we go back in September, October, and the last couple of years we've done November, we don't usually use more than 250 gallons of water. The system has been gone through by 3 or 4 different individuals not affiliated with the water department. We don't know where this leak is coming from. I can tell you that if there was 62,000 gallons of water out of that hose, the cellar of the Grange Hall, which has 2 coal pits, 1904, would have been filled with water. And it doesn't drain out very slowly. And those pits were not filled with water. The 2,158 also throws a red flag at me. I can understand the one in August at 1651 because that would account for the dishwasher having its little hissy fit. We have no idea what caused that. The electricity is shut off to it completely right now. We believe the water pump is gone because it just kept drawing and drawing and drawing. once the hot water tank emptied, the hot water tank shut itself down. So it goes back to 62,000 gallons of water coupled with the 2,158. Something is very wrong, and we don't know what that wrong is.
Well, the water went through the meter, so it's gotta be something on your side.
Well, the meters worked fine up until at that point. So there's no evidence of the water where it should be, especially for a hose that was supposedly just hissing. It wasn't like pouring out.
Mm-hmm.
The continued meter readings indicate to me, my first thing as a layman is that the meter's got a problem now.
Meters, when they fail to your advantage. They slow down, they don't speed up.
Well, then there's water running through that meter, and we have no idea where it's going. But it's not leaking into the cellar. The rest of the building is dry. As a nonprofit organization, it's it really puts us in a predicament.
Right, so I think we should kind of make sure that we're approaching this in a kind of a constructive problem-solving way.
Yeah.
So you've got a problem, you've got a flow of water that you don't know where it's going. Is it still occurring? Is your meter still churning? Because all we've got at this point is the October, what essentially is the September bill, which is September usage, which is the 62,000 gallons. Am I reading this correctly?
The water usage from September 5th to 10/1 was 2,158.
Sorry, again? You don't.
2,000.
Do we have a copy of that page as well? Or we don't have.
It's the last page.
You've only. Oh, this is the last page.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then the one prior to that, which was August 1st to September 5th, was the one that there was, 62,000 gallons of water.
Right, I see that one. What I don't see is the bill for September in.
That's this one right here that I have.
I wasn't given that from Pastor.
So can we just get a copy of it?
Sure.
Where was 62,000?
Bill usage
This
is
is the only one you need.
9.5. Bill usage
Yeah.
is 62,016 gallons. Variance from average is
That's for
61,940.
August usage. And then
Yep.
September usage is.
Right, what she's got right
which is
now.
How much?
2,000, no, I guess it's 161.
One of the things that concerns me too is if you have a leak and you don't know where it is, and you do the abatement now, and you have another 60,000 gallon go wherever, then was it 5 years for the abatement?
I think it was exactly.
It's like 3 or 5 years. So I just want to make sure if you can hold off, let's see if we can work with you to help you identify it with the meter or whatever.
The August one was 1,651. The September to October was 2,158. So the last reasonable amount of usage would have been the one that was read on 7/2 of 2018, which
Right.
that would have been after the June supper.
Right.
Like 224 gallons. Yeah.
So that would have been that month. And then the 1651 is pretty much when the kitchen floor ended up flooded, and we found out that the water was running into the dishwasher. And eventually, like I said, it kind of shut itself down. But the hot water heater tank shut itself off, and so forth. So that was one that we could actually trace. We could actually trace that one.
Right. So now we're through the beginning of October.
Mhm.
We've gone through October, so we should try and get a read for the month of October. Find out what's going on.
Okay.
Have you been using the building or no?
Not in the way that it would be. Most of our usage would start going right back to these smaller numbers, 224, 170, 157, 163. Water use didn't start to increase substantially until after the dishwasher malfunctioned. And then, it's like I said, the 62,000 gallons, if 62,000 gallons had passed through that system, we would be aware of it.
Well, if it's flowing down the floor, if it's going into a drain, it will just go right out.
Yeah.
Like the dishwasher drain, did you get the dishwasher fixed or?
Dishwasher's been totally shut down. We're waiting until, it looks like we're going to have to replace it, and that's an expensive proposition.
But is it completely shut off? There's no water going?
There is no water going into it. There is no electricity going into
The
it.
the electricity doesn't.
Yeah, but electricity would run pumps and stuff, and the pump is essentially what's gone.
That's stuck open and it'll just go right through.
Right, so,
Right to the end.
but every possible valve that feeds into that dishwasher has been closed down. And it was closed down after this last bill came through. The meter has, there was stuff that was going to be checked. Somebody was going to come and check it and do a read. I'm not aware of that happening. Merrill Phipps, who was also one of the ones that was working on this case, he's not aware of it.
Excuse me.
So,
I know Bob Gray had gone down. I don't recall when. I believe it was August or September, maybe. But he did say the hose was leaking, and that was the whole problem.
he said that it was hissing. So yeah, that is a leak, but it's not a leak that would give you 62,000 gallons of water. Is it possible that when we had the issue with the dishwasher, that for some reason could have thrown the meter up? This is like I was saying, we're still getting high, we're not getting any traces of water, there's no water leaking through the toilets, there's no water leaking through the faucets. The cellar is dry for the most part. The hot water heater is up and working for the kitchen sink only. The only time we see water right now, and the thing is when we get these heavy rainstorms, and it's just like a surface water, like a puddle, and then it disappears, and then it's dry again. So the 62,000 has us all baffled.
My experience is that it did go through the meter. There is an option that you can have the meter tested, but you're going to have to pay for it if there's nothing wrong with the meter. And I've been working for 25 years in the water service, off and on, and I've never seen one come back to the water department's favor. They always come back to the consumer's favor because they slow down. Kind of works like a gas meter. Do you notice the gas company changes your meters?
I know exactly where it is. We've gone down with one of the gentlemen from here. We've looked at it. We've, we shine lights on it and stuff like that. I guess if you really want to get to the bottom line on this, for what has happened, Raleigh Greens can't afford to pay it. And now Pennachuck's hitting us with $20 a month, even though we're trying to, in good faith, pay something on it.
No, we understand that. My concern is if we abate this, the problem hasn't been solved. I'm looking to solve the problem, I guess it will. Because that water is going somewhere.
So I guess one of the things I'd say too is, and we can work on waiving the fee down the road, and again, what Mark is saying is that if you're not sure what's going on, and the meters, again, always fail to the consumer side, but,
There's always an exception to the rule, but I've never seen it yet.
yeah, and I'd say if you guys can afford to wait a month or a couple of weeks until we can get the October bill in our hands and see, did your leakage go back to, or usage back to 200? And then, so whatever has happened, it was a one-time event, and then we'll process the abatement. If you don't, we can process the abatement, and then you waive the right to come back again. So if it goes back and you're losing 40, 50,000 gallons, our hands are, we're not really.
Makes it much more complicated.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So has
Where do
plumbers
we-
have been in to look?
Huh?
You had a plumber to come in and look, or no plumber yet?
We had a retired plumber come in and look. There's nothing in the surface. We have certified that the toilets aren't leaking. We have certified that the kitchen sink isn't leaking. The dishwasher's totally out of the picture right now. Even when the dishwasher was in use, it's a 90-second cycle, so it's a short water user. So what do we have? We have no plumbing upstairs. So it's all on that first floor, and then of course the hot water tank is right underneath. Like I said, this particular, because of the age of the building and the type of cement floor, I just don't know where to begin to look for something that would leak 62,000. I just don't know where. I mean, I'm used to the coal pits collecting water and the heavy, heavy rain, but never more than an inch. And then as soon as the rain stops, it dries out. You might have a surface skim of water over one of the areas by the cement, but not to what we're talking. I mean, right now, I feel like if the meter is correct, this is going somewhere. Where's it going?
That's my concern.
Where's it going? We're not getting any use out of it.
I don't know, the pipes in overhead in the basement, or are they down on the ground, or are they along the side of the wall?
All the water pipes are on the ceiling in the basement.
Yeah, my only thought is, with the dishwasher, is it pulled out? I mean, is it completely, is the water fee, you said everything's shut off, but valves fail, but is it physically removed?
It has not been physically removed. There are two valves that go into that machine, and both of them are shut off. They both go into the same place. One valve is directly into the machine. The other valve is coming off of the water, the hot water thing.
Now, what was the garden hose that I was reported, that guy saw there was a garden hose that was running in the basement?
Well, we don't know where that came from, because there's no way to get a hose outside of the building. So,
Said it was hooked into some of the plumbing or something.
well, when the water comes into the building, it goes right up to the ceiling of the cellar. There was a regular hand valve there, and the hose was attached to that valve. I did not think anything of it until he came, and he supposedly couldn't get the valve open, and he realized, well, the valve is already open. So I thought, well, if it's already open, so I picked up the hose and I squeezed the handle and water came out. And I said, didn't we close that valve when we were here the last time? And he said, neither one of us could remember. So I took and I placed the hose back, the nozzle back down on the ground, checked all around, there didn't seem to be any water running, and then, well, I guess when they went back with another Grange member, and she heard a hissing sound, and she looked down and she said there was a fine mist coming out near the nozzle. The only other thing we can think, and we're all trying to go back in our minds, is the Girl Scouts, the little kids, the Girl Scouts, used that building and had completely replanted the front garden, and that maybe George Pasanka Jr. had brought in the hose and went through one of the windows, the cellar windows, but he never said anything with that, and I knew that the kids were bringing in buckets of water to do that, so nobody that's alive right now can remember where that hose came from.
I hope it's gone.
Hmm?
I hope it's gone and disconnected.
Everything's all shut down, yeah, everything's all shut down. Because it's clear that that valve was the one thing that led to that, and yet it doesn't interfere with the water that goes into the building.
So I mean, I kind of leave it up to you. Do you want to act on this tonight and then deal with whatever the problems are, or do you want to wait a little bit further and make sure everything's in a steady state?
We need to have some help to find out where that supposed water is going, if it really is going through the meter. Something's going through the meter, obviously, to trigger it. But
in October, we don't know what the usage for October is yet. That's the point.
no, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Do you want to wait a little bit further to see if you still have phantom water going through, or unaccounted for water, or if things are back to a steady state, you've closed whatever was leaking radically. So I think that's kind of what we say.
Well, we can do it that way, but the fact that September was, almost 2,000 over what our normal usage is.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's still an ongoing issue that we don't know.
Yeah.
What's the,
The bill should be coming out in a couple of days.
yeah, but they're still using on a hourly basis. In September, they're using 8 gallons, which basically means they're using 200 gallons a day.
Yeah, that's with nobody there.
With nobody
And there's
there.
nobody there, yeah.
Yeah.
So something is really, sorry,
I mean,
so you're using steadily. I mean, this looks like somebody's left I mean, 8 gallons an hour is not a lot. That's a leak.
Very small, yeah.
Yeah. So 8 gallons, but
But it adds up.
over.
Did you put the blue tablets in your toilets?
to see if there was any water coming out from them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes into the tank like it should, and then it flushes out, and there's no indication of it. We just had a
That saved me more than once, that's why. I said-
yeah. Stewie Dalzell put a new septic tank in. I think that septic is 2 years old now, maybe 3. And they replumbed, and the bills did not indicate any problem there when they replumbed. But this has got us totally baffled. I mean, who do we go to find a leak that we have no idea where to begin to look?
Well,
There's nothing coming up on the ground like as if it was seeping up.
Right.
The septic system appears to be working fine.
Now, is that a tight system, or does it have to be pumped out all the time, or is it a regular septic system?
It's a regular septic system. They had to, remove
knew
a
the
certain
issues
part of the
that-
soil
Yeah.
and brick it off and so forth. So I think the septic's been in there long enough that if it were a problem, we would have been seeing that. But
I mean, we can test the meter, but I mean,
We can even replace it.
It could be, the
Makes you
easiest
feel
thing would be to
happy.
do is to replace it.
It's not gonna,
Call it a day.
it's not gonna fix it.
Yeah, but that eliminates one problem.
yeah,
The other thing I'm gonna warn you with, that we put new meter in, new meters read higher than the old meters do, because like I said, they fail in the consumer's favor.
They're far more accurate.
yeah, that's all.
Yeah, you'll get a more accurate reading.
yeah, but when I'm looking at the number I'm looking at,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if you go back through our history, we very rarely run more than 225
No,
gallons.
I think we're in all agreement that
There's an issue
big
there.
There's an
a big
issue here somewhere.
Mhm.
And, but it looks like it's been looking at the.
Almost
the
looks like it was
numbers,
gradual.
It looks like it was a problem that's gotten worse over a few days around the 10th of September, up through the 15th, and then it has stabilized, and it's stabilized with
To the higher number.
a very high number. So we should do get another readout to capture the more recent data usage, because this only goes through 20th of September.
Mhm.
Is that?
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, we should go, we'll do a data logger. Absolutely.
And pull that additional data, but I mean, 8 gallons an hour is kind of like
It's a lot.
valve that's not been shut off completely. I mean,
There's some water running somewhere that they haven't figured out where it
It's,
is.
it's not a massive leak.
And I lean towards the dishwasher, or something leaking through the dishwasher going right through the system and right out to the septic.
Yeah. If you're not seeing it anyplace, or you're not hearing it,
No, the floor underneath the dishwasher over the hot water heater has totally dried out. As I
It's
say,
connected-
both valves.
The dishwasher is connected to a drain.
Yes, it is. It's right, connected right to the septic system. And there's no water going out of that drain either.
Okay, so that would mean, so you wouldn't hear, first of all, that means it's going straight outside, so you're not likely to hear it. It's not coming back like mine comes back through the kitchen sink.
This particular dishwasher has a corrugated pipe that is its outflow pipe. So when you're in the cellar and somebody were to run water in it, you can hear it because it makes the noise as it goes over the ripples in the corrugated pipe.
Right, but this is going out 8 gallons a minute, which is just a fast, it's a very
Mhm.
small,
It's an hour.
but constant 8 gallons an hour.
Yeah, so it's a constant dribble.
A constant dribble,
That's
so
what
you
you
may
hear.
not hear very much. You certainly wouldn't hear it as it's emptying out of the dishwasher, because they'll shoot
It's
out.
forced out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll shoot
and
out.
it's not just hot
Yeah.
water, there's probably a cold water feed as well.
There's no cold water feed into the dishwasher.
It's all the hot water?
So
Yeah,
hot
most
water.
hot water. I assume this is a sanitizer more than a dishwasher, because it's a 90-second cycle. You put it through the sanitizer, keep the Board of Health happy.
They classify it as a dishwasher because we do have to use dish soap in it.
Yeah, we
It goes in-
just have one at the fire station for bean
Yeah,
suckers.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it ran a 90-minute cycle,
90-minute cycle.
90-second cycle, I mean.
90-second cycle. The hot water tank that supplies it the hot water doesn't heat it up to the recommended temperature, so the machine has to heat the
Yeah,
water
when you start
that
it up,
additional.
it sounds like the same thing. When you
Yeah.
start it up, you have to run it through a couple cycles to bring it up to temperature.
Yeah.
Because it has to be
so we
hot enough
just-
to kill all the germs.
You turn it on, you let it run, it spins on the inside to
Mhm.
get the base filled with water. And then we wait until the little lights tell you that it's hot enough, and then you push the button and wash.
I would suggest physically disconnecting, not just turning a valve, because a valve could be doing 8 gallons an hour. Physically disconnecting the water into that device, and then get the data logger, and then wait for a couple weeks so we can see, the results of that, and then see what
Do another data logger.
the bill is, and then to help you find out,
Yeah, I mean,
was this a one-time thing, or, by doing that, it's the biggest, from a forensic standpoint, that seems like the first thing you're gonna look at, and then if we've solved it, great, and then we'll kind of act on this, plus whatever from then to that, then.
What will we learn?
We can redo it so you get everything.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
that's,
so I think there are two issues, because the 8 gallons an hour, that's 200 gallons a day, that's around 2,000 gallons a month. That's not your 60,000 gallons. So that's.
So then they hit the hose in this basement, that's when that 60,000 gallons.
Well, that's the other thing.
When they found the hissing hose, yes.
So
Yeah.
then now you got two things that were an issue. They got more than one issue.
Potentially.
That building,
Potential.
that should be shut off after every use, because nobody,
Now, do you have heat
nobody's
in that
staying
building?
there overnight.
Do you have heat in that building?
Sometimes I don't go there for days straight.
I mean, does it
building-
stay on winter?
The building, when we're not there, the building is maintained at 45 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And that is chiefly expected downstairs again, because
No,
that's where the
I'm
water
just
is.
curious as to what you. I'm just looking for a use that you have to have water for. What kind of heat do you have? Is
What
it
kind of what?
hot air? Is it forced hot water?
Oh, we're hot air gas,
Okay.
yeah.
What I was looking at is if they shut the water off, is it going to be calling for water?
No,
Yeah.
You know, an old steam boiler or something like that in the
Yeah.
edge of the building.
Don't
no.
want to blow up the building.
Well, we don't have that same company that Lawrence and Andover do,
Oh my God. God.
knock on wood. So,
So, how about that for moving forward though? Is those three things, physically disconnect that thing, regardless of the valves, physically disconnect the water feed into that.
mhm.
That way, that's done. And then do a data logger.
Actually, you could go down and you could look at the meter and see if there's a slow flow.
We'll just do a data logger, yeah.
But they didn't have her shut that off and do it again and see if it stopped.
Mhm.
Shut water.
The
The
dishwasher.
The valve.
dishwasher, while you're looking
Disconnect.
at the meter.
Yeah,
Physically.
you can physically look at it and see what it tells you what your flow is.
Right.
You shine a light on it. It's not as nice as the old ones. They used to have the little diamond they used to spin, so you could tell easily.
Somebody was trying to read it the other day. Give me a flashlight, I want to turn the light on. No, we need a flashlight. So they got a flashlight. Flashlight wasn't any good. I says, well,
But if you
Need
get
new
down
batteries.
and, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Flick it on, see if they got a slow flow going to the meter. Shut that off and see if it stops.
Or if they're standing there, they think everything's off, but there's a flow, then there's a leak someplace.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Then, you know, beyond that, I'd say you're gonna have to get a plumber to come in and to figure out what's going inside the building beyond what we can tell.
So I think my suggestion is we're going to treat this whole episode from beginning to the end as one event.
Mm.
It's just it's complicated.
Yeah, it will.
They filed, they put the stake in the ground, so,
Mhm.
you know, that
Yeah, from
clock's
lots of
off.
things, they're paying a payment to us every month.
Right, right, and it's like I said, it's, after we put the septic system in, it really displaced what we had for invested funds, and so now we're trying to raise money for the community projects as well as starting to restore the building.
As a library trustee, you guys are phenomenal.
Mm, yeah,
No,
Yeah.
our goal is to help you.
yeah.
You know,
I
if I came
understand that.
across,
That's why I didn't come in here and say, oh,
because you would have got that back.
Just we are practiced in handling those.
No,
well, it doesn't get you anywhere.
I just like it. I like to explain that about the meters and how they do work because a lot of people don't understand that. And like I use the gas company as a prime example. They don't change your meter every 3 or 5 years because they think it needs a new meter. It's because they're losing revenue.
yeah. So Ann, are you okay if we kind of do a continuance for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the problem's got to be solved because Raleigh Range just can't handle this kind of stuff. And, you know, it's like I said, I think we're looking at replacing the dishwasher because it's the water pump that I believe is gone. There's, like, when...
Probably got some age on it.
It's when we redid that kitchen, so it's probably 10 years old.
So
But it-
is there a main shut off?
Inside the building at the front, the line that comes in off of the town's water line,
Yeah.
there is a shut off there.
the-
Neither Merle nor I could move it. There was
So but
thought,
which side of the meter is that on? Is that on the town side, at the,
it's right by the meter. The meter is here, and then the valve is here.
I think the valve is too old to really be playing around with.
So you got one of those.
Anytime it's on
One of
there,
those old
we use,
crank
yeah, we use the outside shut off to,
Mhm.
I was going to say when we were
Touchdown.
shutting them down in the winter.
so is there another shut off inside the building on your side of the meter that's looks as though
That's
it's...
the only one I know of, other than all the other
No, I
regular
can tell
spigot
you,
valves.
that kind of place, there's one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
Right,
Yeah,
because
this
I
is-
mean, the thing that I'm concerned about is that this leak is continuing to happen, and you, even if it's only 8 gallons, if it now looks like it's 8 gallons a minute, 8 gallons an hour, that's still going to run out at $2,000 a month. So you don't want to do that
right.
continuously. So there's only, so we should jump on this as quickly as possible to try and get a solution.
He's right, because I remember many, many years ago when the gas rate got so high, we couldn't afford to heat the building during the winter. So we had a gentleman come in who took and cleared all the lines and blew them out downstairs. And then we did come into some money, gas prices went down a little bit. So we said, this is ridiculous, we might as well use the hall. So they installed a new thermostat unit that would allow us to go to 45 degrees for the downstairs area. So any place that was vulnerable to needing heat, like under the sink and so forth, all of those were all opened up, and the heat was maintained at 45 degrees. And in most cases, we found that the heat will stay in the building during the winter right now at 50 degrees. So, and then we use the hall twice a month.
If you do have somebody that's a plumber, it would probably be worth your while to put in, have these guys come down and shut your water off.
Yeah,
Put some new valves, one before the meter and one after the meter. And have brand new quarter-turn valves so that you have something to shut off easily.
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be money well invested in a couple of quarter-turn valves.
Okay.
Right. Even if, I mean, you do that and
Then
get
we-
the problem solved as quickly as possible,
Yeah,
because it's the money, the water is flowing through the
Is that
meter.
iron
so-
pipe service?
Yes. Mhm.
So I'll change that. You need one on the other side. Because I wouldn't touch the iron pipe side.
yeah, because he's got the one out on this, I call it on the street, it's
Mhm.
underneath the lawn. And then the pipe comes into the building. There is this brass handle which nobody can turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then the meter's right here. I don't remember the configuration of the
Those
pipe.
old
But I
iron pipe
do,
services
It's an old setup.
yeah.
their days are
Right.
gone, but they're very fragile.
Well, you figure the building was moved in 1904.
But the water was probably put in 1948, 49,
More than likely.
when the water system was put in.
Yeah, I wasn't alive then,
Me either.
so,
Well, Ann, we'll try to work with you on this.
okay.
We'll just let the Grange know that, all hope is not lost, but we'll try and,
We'll try and
We
find.
just want to find out where that water's
we'll
going.
work with you on this one.
All right. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 people right within a few minutes off of Central Street that have the key to the building. And you'll need somebody to let you in.
So if we make an appointment with Penachuk, I can call you, or would you rather call me and tell me what day is best for you?
Some of the 4 of us, one of us would be available.
Okay.
So that would be.
We'll just tell you when, and then you'll get one of the.
If you could line it all up with if you got your plumber
Plumber.
all lined up, they could come in and shut it off and take their readings or whatever, and you could
And
change
go
that
from
valve all at the same time.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go home and get on it.
Right, well, sorry for the problems. We'll try and solve them.
That's all right. All right, well, thank you gentlemen very much for your time, and let's hope we can get this worked out.
And we appreciate the work the Grange does.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You want to give me a cell phone, or is this enough?
The 202 number. What do you got there?
I have the 9482.
That's Mary Ann's number.
Okay.
That's not the number.
You want to do the old business number 1 last, right?
Yeah.
All right. This is something you put on, Bernie.
All the times is, yeah, this had happened when we were doing the emergency work down Main Street. And, the timing just didn't,
All right, so, thank you.
it upset a lot of the stores, the businesses down.
Well, let's put it this way, it set businesses that weren't even included in it, and were never included in it, but for some reason, they thought they should be notified.
Well, all I can report is that they were informed that they were going to potentially lose water, and that led, was it the hairdressers to cancel appointments?
And they weren't even on that side of the valve.
Well, right, so that means that we should try and be more specific about,
I think there was one set of hairdressers that were on the shutdown.
Yeah, that, the one at the Ipswich line.
Yeah.
Yes.
so, but as a matter of policy and principle though, if we're doing emergency work, then obviously we have to do the emergency work as quickly as possible. If it's something that's scheduled or can be scheduled, then we should have
You have to balance out the least impact for the majority of the people.
right.
And the least impact was when they did it. Because you're talking, you have the Pancake House, you have White Farms, you have, all those businesses that are on there that were getting their water shut off. It was a high priority to get them on, on their schedule. Not the people that are on the other side of the gate that might have a 1% chance of having their water shut off.
No, I guess I'm not being clear. The issue is, how do we go about deciding what the optimal time is to do a non-emergency?
You have to do it on a case-by-case basis and who you're dealing with.
You
And you're not
can,
gonna make everybody happy.
yeah, you could say do it at midnight, and that's.
Somebody else is gonna say, well, I'd make my iced tea at midnight.
No, I understand that. The issue is, here, apparently, people believed they were going to be impacted and they weren't. So that's just a miscommunication or an error. A more general issue would be, how do we go about figuring out what the optimal time is? So in this instance,
For businesses, the optimal time would be like in the middle of the night doing work, and we can do that.
It's like we did Hammond Street, we
You
did
definitely got
we
to
did
put
it
the money in the budget.
after Savage Seafood closes because they have to run their business during the day.
right,
So we went on this, and we had to run around, you have to run around daycares, which have different hours of operation. I mean, every single place you do it, it's gonna be different. And you just have to do your best. There's no set way that you can say, okay, every scheduled water break is gonna be least affecting people at 2 a.m. You don't know.
So I think it's a judgment call,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we just want, heightened awareness that, and I think, the team is. I know that people were disgruntled, and then they're looking for a pound of flesh. There just isn't any to give on this one, I think.
One of the people that complained, I went right over to him and said, if you have an issue, why don't you come walk 10 steps over across the back of your yard and talk to me?
Right.
He didn't want to. No, he just wanted to complain.
Well, that's their right.
And we do, we'll plan out digs for like middle of the night work. First of all, it's super expensive, and you need to really have that kind of money set aside in the budget for doing those kinds of digs, because everybody involved, not only were they paid all day to kind of hang around and do nothing because they can't do any work during the day,
Mm-hmm.
then now you're paying everybody involved, double time.
right. So,
Yeah.
so I'm not in favour of that. I guess the two things. I know that we had issues in terms of being able to, when we were doing the school and I guess it was the town hall, of identifying, where to turn the things off and whether we could turn the things off.
Well, that situation with the school at Hammond Street, was supposed to be done at night, and some of the gates that we thought were fine didn't shut down all the way. And when it came down to it, it should have been done that night. But the crew at Pine Grove School got too impatient and left. Because we were at the point where we were ready to do it, and they left. So,
Right, but from what, it sounds like, I mean, we haven't been as diligent about exercising the gate valves and identifying broken gate valves and non-functioning gate valves. So,
and it goes back to the same issue.
right.
The town won't allow us to hire people.
Right, but, I mean, we can, to have a program to exercise the gate valves, we don't need to have a permanent hire do that, but we can contract for that.
And how do you propose to pay for that?
We didn't budget for it that way.
No, but we can budget for it. Budget time is coming up.
Absolutely.
So my concern is that we should have a better control. Need better controls. At the moment, the gate valves are hit or miss, because I saw you
Yes.
working that
Right.
valve, and that was.
When it comes down to it, Bernie, we need a superintendent.
Yes.
Yeah, someone to manage it, because he's got a full-time job.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
everything you
He
said.
has his job to
we
do.
couldn't agree with you more, but we can't, we're at an impasse right now. Not ourselves, but with the town.
So I guess my position would be that we continue to do the best we possibly can when non-emergency shutdowns are, to kind of make sure that we know we can isolate wherever that work is going to be done. So that we
And
don't
if you remember right, that last job, because it was done ahead of time and the gates were exercised and knew it was done in 2 hours.
And we waited till, what,
2 o'clock, and it was done when I got
Did
home at
not
4.
affect any other businesses, well, did not totally mess up
Mhm.
everyone's day.
Right. So again,
I thought they
I'm not-
did an excellent job at doing it. They had the option of doing it either Thursday or Friday, and Thursday it was supposed to rain, which it did rain and it poured, so they had it scheduled for Friday. Because you have so much time, once you discover it, then you have to do your dig safes, and they have 48 hours to mark them. So there's a time frame there, and we had to notify the people.
Okay, so I still would say that we, at the very least, we need to essentially budget for an effort to do the gate.
We've come across a lot of broken gate valves in the past couple of weeks, pretty much. So it's definitely, it was on my mind
Yeah,
that,
we need to-
next season, that's going to be one of the major projects is going around and just replace a bunch of gate valves. Schedule them, we'll budget it for, so we can do it at night because we know that shutting the water off for businesses isn't good. We're also concerned about safety for the traffic issues and stuff.
Right.
The best time would
It's
be
not, nighttime's not the best time to be digging.
No,
That's when people get hurt.
Right, so, but I can imagine that it's a big project and has to be done phase by phase, and we should, I know we were going to do the hydrants, we budgeted for that.
I think I had it in the capital improvement plan for gate valve replacement in FY 2020.
That'd be next fiscal year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Anything else?
No, I'm fine with that. Meter hall. What's in
Remember
the
that one?
I did not put that on there, so
Yeah, they,
Yeah.
to me,
Told me to put it on there a couple weeks ago.
because you said there was a complaint on it, but I didn't know exactly something about the leaking or something.
right, there's been particularly one resident who complained that their meter horn assembly has been leaking a little bit.
I'm sorry, what's a meter hall?
It's where it's where you actually install the water meter. It's a piece of pipe that kind of wraps around like this.
Oh, okay.
Looks like a horn.
You got one out back you can show?
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
Want me to get it?
Let's get it. I understand.
Just,
It's a piece of plumbing equipment that is specifically designed to house a water meter.
Yeah.
It has some unions on it so they can connect to their plumbing system. And there's a customer that is saying that because we directed them to buy this particular water meter from a company, and now that it's leaking, that we should be replacing it.
That's a meter.
Long story short, is what's been going on.
Do you want on your,
You can just sit there.
That's a meter. That part.
So it's, and how much is it leaking?
Honestly, it looks like it's just pipe sweat. It is actually leaking from the meter horn unions right here, but it looks like it's just pipe sweat, so it's not much. But they are concerned that the homeowner's trying to sell their house, and if there's water dripping from their plumbing, that they won't be able to sell the house. They can't seem to get it to stop from leaking, so they want a new one. They want a new one from us.
Number one, we don't sell them.
Correct.
Number two, we don't make them.
Do we install them?
We do not.
We don't install them. That's installed by.
So why are they looking for us to do anything?
Because we directed them to buy this particular setup from a company so we could house our water meter.
So,
Right, so we somehow involved with that.
so
we should.
next time we'll give them 3 options, pick a company, and then you own it.
That was the other thing,
That was
I think Bob Ray,
yesterday.
was this on the agenda somewhere? No. But instead of having telling the customers that they specifically need this style of meter horn and that ball valve from this company, just say that, you need to install the water meter in a horizontal position using only, AWWA
Approved.
certified approved fittings.
Able to accept a
Yeah.
Neptune model, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
meter.
That way you can really 100% be like, nope, I don't know
Well,
what
I
to do.
mean, by trying to tell them this is trying to help someone out and say, this is the one that fits the meter that we use. Then we'll just say, here's the specs, go find the meter, go find the hardware, which is ridiculous, because then they'll be furious. Well, I missed 1 digit, and this isn't the right one. Well, we gave you the spec, and if you typed it wrong, to your supplier. So, I mean, it's a lose-lose for us. I would continue to say, this is the recommended, and that's the word I'd use, this is the recommended configuration. If you choose otherwise, here are the specs. You have the option to go obtain a different vendor.
Right, and again, right now we have it written in it. You have to, get a setup like this from a certain company, and that's where I guess the customer's coming from. It's like, well, you kind of told me to go get that one, and that one I can't get it to stop leaking. So,
So back to that
Go back to the
company.
company, not us.
right.
So,
we don't have much choice really, so I guess for a layman, they don't know. They just go by our recommendation.
okay, so they bought something from the recommended supplier. We don't back the supplier.
That's right. We're not guaranteeing it.
Right. So
How old is the unit?
It was built in 2013.
So, yeah, we do not guarantee the vendor's work. I mean, if it failed, go back to the person you bought it from. We are not reselling the equipment. We take the recommendation, we say you need to buy this. If it fails, we get an issue with the person that sold it to them. Just because we're telling you this is the one we think you should use.
We did bring this issue to the vendor themselves, and the vendor said that the company that manufactures them they have a policy where if you think it's defective, you need to have it removed and shipped to their company, and they will
There you
have it
go.
tested.
Yeah. So there's their path of fixing.
What's something like that cost?
$450, and the meters are numbered at 450. It's all like no lead now.
What are the two brass thing, copper things coming out.
That's the horn part, that's
That's
where
where
the meter
hits.
goes in.
It's in.
Yeah.
Because I don't have something that looks like that in my house. I have the feed coming in from the street, and I have this like brass dome with a thing on top.
Probably prior to 2009, I'm assuming.
This came in since long after I worked for a while.
Yeah.
We always just had the pipe come in, hooked it up to the meter and had brackets into the
Right.
wall.
A policy was made back in like 2009, maybe 2010, to be like, hey, all 1-inch meters with all 1-inch setups, just like this. So
Because
if you're developing them before that,
I had
though.
to replace the valve in my house, but he didn't go to the water department. Maybe he just put in a different piece of pipe because,
Yeah.
or he put in something because I was getting 105 pounds of pressure,
Mhm.
blew my water tank
Yeah.
expansion thing.
Yep.
So it cost me
You
$100
gotta
for
put a
that.
pressure reducer in.
That he must have done that.
Yeah.
But he left it.
That's actually
So
plumbing.
that's a 1-inch service line.
Yep.
So we don't have one, so.
I don't know why why are we requiring 1-inch in?
That's
house?
just the policy. That's what
Why?
I was written up. Just for sufficient fire flow, not fire flow, sufficient flows through the house.
In my house, I have a 5/8 3/4.
You can get a bigger
Yeah.
one as long as you're not going to have a irrigation system or anything.
Yeah,
Well, if you got an irrigation system, you need a bigger one.
I got a pipe like that they come in, but I do have an irrigation system,
Mhm.
which I don't run. So, okay. Anyways,
I'm just curious as to why.
It's just policy, and no, it doesn't have to stay the same. But if we're going to change things, we're going to make sure that. Lately, we have been finding like policies that just aren't really clear on things, and people have been kind of pulling them apart to be able to do whatever they want to do with it,
Right.
because it's just not written clearly enough.
I think that's done on purpose.
Yeah, if we did change the policy, it'd be nice to have it.
I think all you have to do is reword that last number 14 a little bit
Right.
and put the word recommended in there and then we're all kind of.
Yep.
Okay, all set with that? Either one?
Yes.
Well, so what's the response to the
I think Kathy could use some guidance from the Board of Commissioners, because this person has been contacting Kathy quite a few times. She's been trying to talk to me and Bob about it, but we honestly don't know what to say to her either.
She has to go back to the person they purchased it from. And I don't know how long the warranty is for, but a lot of things you buy, they have a 90-day warranty, you know?
Right.
Why do you think, because it's a water thing, that you would have longer than that? If the company gives it to them, I think that's great, but.
We do need to change the wording because then, right now, I just feel like we didn't say we recommend this, we just say, okay, just give us your check, make it off Thai sales, we'll give you the quote.
See, another job that the manager should be doing.
I'm sorry?
Another job that a manager should be doing.
Oh, I mean, it's fine, it's just a problem like this, especially when there was a threat of lots of others in that cul-de-sac or whatever, what is it?
Mhm.
Condominium complex. I mean, can you imagine if every single one wanted us to pay for them to be replaced?
It's the one thing to want, it's the second thing for it to have.
No, I know.
yeah, no, sympathetic. However, we don't warrant in any capacity the devices that we recommend them to buy. Now, I built a house here. The water department told me to put in XYZ pipe into my house. I was furious because I wanted a copper feed from the thing. And it's like, no, it's going to be some plastic or.
You're actually better off with the plastic, but it's like,
Evidently, this is 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But anyways, they just changed the rules and so on. But if that failed, I mean, I couldn't come back to the water department and go, oh, you buy pipe. I go back to the manufacturer. Same thing. Go back to the manufacturer.
No, I understand. I
They are
agree.
welcome to come to the meeting if they want to have a discussion. And you feel free to say, if you don't agree with this, you are free to make an appointment, get on the thing, and
put it in writing and we'll put you on the agenda.
yeah. But I mean, that's the way it is. We're not warrantying the manufacturer's work.
No, right.
We're recommending a commercially made piece of equipment.
That's why we have to put that word in there. We
Yeah,
recommend.
so let's make that change and
Do
make
we
a
have to
change
get
and present
that
to us at the next
approved?
meeting and we'll.
Should we make a motion then to change the?
I'll make a motion to make the changes as Kathy's noted them in the document.
Seconded.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So you make that change, Kathy, and that's effective immediately. Sorry, Mark.
That's fine.
Carried away.
Nope. I told you, I was trying not to do too much talking tonight. Discuss Prospect Hill valve modification proposal. I guess that's you.
Before you get in, Mark, Rob, is this the thing where we've got the whole spaghetti stuff down the bottom that they're gonna try and figure out?
Yes.
Okay. Just helps me know
Mhm.
which mess we're talking about.
I mean, well, that's basically it. You hit it, you said it.
It's been a disaster since.
Yeah, I know.
There's a bunch of pipes going in a bunch of different directions. There's a bunch of valves that we actually don't know if they close, if they're already closed, if they're stuck open. if they're
Which one goes to the
broken.
old tank, which one goes to the new
We
tank?
have, I have 3 different maps for that area that have different locations for things.
And they're all guesstimates.
Yeah. And it is like at some points, like I would hate to ever use anything there, but I mean, at some point we have to use it for
We need to
emergency
know what's there.
someday.
And eliminate what's not needed.
Yeah, we've talked about this. This is just
This is the
now-
start of it.
Yeah, so I mean, what's the bottom line?
Just under $30,000 for them to, and we had this in the budget for the investigation of this.
Right.
Where they're going to pretty much investigate the area, come up with some plans of action, come up with some actual drawings, everything except for the final, like going out to bid and hiring someone to do any work. So they basically hand us a packet up to that point. From there, if we want to, we'll review it, look it over, in a year or two, if we want to actually do something about it, then we can.
To go out to bid.
I want to budget it for the next year. I want to get this
Yeah.
fixed, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
It is.
Because if we have a massive failure in there, then then we lose 500,000 gallons off the tank, and we're right back.
If you're
into
lucky,
that
that's all you
place.
lose.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll lose 1.3 million.
So when we're doing the budget for next year, this should be in, what's it due back?
Well, that was kind of my thoughts originally. Was we budget a little this year just to get the planning phase, get people out there, checking it out, looking it over.
Yeah.
Then if we
writing
get to,
plans.
they can get to a place where we can start a construction phase, we can go out to bid on
And, well,
that.
and that's where they're going to stop at that point because that's not included in the price. And I told them not to.
That's what we planned.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I'll make a motion that we accept this bid.
So, before we finish that,
Mm-hmm.
is there a simpler way of solving this issue?
Oh,
In
that's,
other words, this looks like we're going to go back and we're going to try and unravel the spaghetti, as opposed to basically saying, this is where the spaghetti starts, this is where it ends, cut it off, and
that was I said that exact same thing. Was I'd like to also look into we don't have to improve what we have. Maybe just replace it with something like this is how it really should be set up in a professional way.
right.
Well, that's what the plan will tell us.
Yes.
Can we snip it and cap it, or do we have to?
I
What
don't know if it's. I had it
It's
on
more like
email.
identifying what's down there, because nobody knows what valves got what.
Right.
There would
But
be,
even,
they'd include options where it's like, you could just, if you guys wanted to, you could just just shut all that down and just put something new in right here. Make it easy. May not be the best thing, but, that's the easy way to do it. This is, the way to do it to replace everything. Yeah, I told them that I wanted to see some basic options too, where
I want to
you don't need to, it doesn't need to be over-engineered, it doesn't need to
right,
be like.
or even over-diagnosed.
Cut it here,
That's my.
cut it here, eliminate everything in the middle, and
pour concrete on the mass, encase it. and-
I will stress that when I talk.
but we need to know what goes to what before we do that.
That's all.
Right, I mean, because my sense here is that there's a lot of pre-engineering work, and if we actually know where the pipe is coming down the hill and where it's joining the mains, and again, I don't know all the details.
Somebody dropped the ball back in the mid-80s when they put that tank in, by not marking anything.
Right,
or
but
making
even
maps
if it's
in.
not, I mean,
And they should have pulled out the old piping when they did it.
where the main piping is coming down the hill, right? Do we know where that is?
Give or take. Again, I have three different maps that have three different kind of locations of piping and valves and
So you
stuff.
get 16-inch ductile that comes down the hill. Where it changes to 10-inch, I have no idea. Do you?
Yeah, I don't really have a exact location for that.
Okay. All right, so you understand what I'm driving at.
Well, that's my concern. Is like I really don't have a clear understanding of what's going on there. I have a ton of maps I can sit there and stare at, which I have.
Right, but sometimes, well, we've already said, and one way of telling Taylor and Howard is, do the simplest diagnosis. We don't need a detailed diagnosis. If a simple diagnosis allows us to say, we know the pipe is here, we know the other pipes are here, and then
What do we do to make them come together without any interference?
So, because I can see them analysing where everything is, and all we're going to do is rip it all, we're going to ignore it, ultimately.
Right. Yep.
And so if we know, if we can isolate the highest, the furthest point down the hill to where we know the pipe is coming, and then we know where it is on the street,
We just need X-ray eyes.
yeah. So, the next superintendent will have X-ray eyes.
There you go. Put that in this job description.
So, you put the motions on the table.
So,
you second it?
Say the motion, sorry,
Yeah, I made a motion that we accept this proposal and move forward.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, station 3 and 5, there's a new thing we have to sign. Is that's all about, Rob?
Yeah, it's a change order. There was a 12-5-1. There's a check valve that's no good, which we actually knew about going into the projects. We suspected that it was no good going into the project.
Do we suspect any other ones are?
No.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah. But you never know. With those, they can be slightly leaking, and because they're submersible, the check valve is
Right.
down the water, down underground. They could be leaking by. We wouldn't know it until you pulled the pump out. And then because of that check valve is leaking, the water going in the reverse direction shut out
Shut out
the
the pump.
bearings and
Yeah.
the motor, not the pump.
We're not designed to go the wrong way.
You
Right.
see those, you see the contracts, right? So all four have to be signed by that 3D.
This is the contract and the change orders?
The change orders, yes.
The contract,
Or is this just change orders?
That's
change order is just
con-
one paper.
That's the contract, and the change order is the back page, I believe.
So we sign the contract and the change order?
No, we've signed the
Just the
contract.
contract, and then Rob
Let's say, I
said-
thought we signed all these.
Yeah, we've signed the contract, so we just need to sign.
Yeah, we signed the contract. This is just a change order.
that whole thing is a change order?
No, it was just that one piece of paper.
Because we haven't, I don't know what we signed. We signed all these, but these aren't signed.
That's a 58,000.
We just received those, though.
I did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Well, mine is signed,
By you?
yeah. On the 2nd of October.
Yeah, we signed the main
We signed.
contracts and sent it out to everyone. Well, what I'm looking for is the change order to be signed, which is just that one piece of paper up on top.
Right.
I just,
So let's sign the change order, because
So
we
it
sure
just
signed
needs
the
one
contract.
signature. So you want to make a motion? I'll make a motion to sign the change order to purchase the additional equipment, failed equipment.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Yeah, there's a change order right there.
So how many copies of the change order?
I think I just need the one original.
just one, yeah. The,
Just sign, we'll copy it, send the original back to them, and be all set.
Well, they haven't signed
Do you have the change order?
This is a notice to proceed. Do we need to sign that?
Probably should.
Then we have contract agreement.
What does the cover letter say, Mark?
And all I have is contract agreements that were sitting on the table here with all the stickies on.
So this is October 30th, is the letter. It says, find 4 copies of the original contract, original copies of the contract and notice to proceed the project. Mars executed the contracts, including a notice of award, contract agreement, bonds, and COI. A copy of the bid and bid one, along with 1 copy of the executed notice, are also attached for your reference. Please have the commissioners execute the contract agreement and notice to proceed and return all copies.
Yeah, before we just said sign the notice of award, sorry, so that's what's in.
All right, so we're signing the,
Sign everything you got, right?
I'd say sign everything, we just,
Yes.
Sign it.
So
We have to do it, we have to
I'll make a motion to sign the contract and the change order agreement.
Second.
all in favor? All right, this is the change order.
Have they commenced, Rob? Yeah, so.
Yes, you got a change order already.
Yeah, so as I say, because October 2nd, we started everything, but, so, yeah, let's just keep it rolling forward.
So there's only one signature page, one signature for
For the
this.
change order, yeah.
Yeah, so I can sign that.
Yeah, as the chairman.
Change order.
Where's the notice to proceed?
That's down the bottom here.
All right. So we just sign this.
I think
I
so.
think I'm gonna just go ahead and mail it. You should just scan it to me.
Later too.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we missed one. I don't know. Right. So when's the next Disney trip?
Mason.
Oh, I said, hold on.
But I am going to Miami week from Friday
Oh.
to see the NASCAR race. Only going for a weekend now. Friday to Monday.
Nice. Which race is it?
The last one at Homestead. See, you're the closest to Kathy that they've all collected for.
Yeah. You can get contracts.
You want to do job descriptions now, or you want to go down to general business?
Whatever, I think so, general business is easy to do.
How's your shoulder, Kathy?
Pardon?
How's your rehab going?
This is good, this is so-so. I know.
All right. Any current or future operations discussions? The other thing I got is, we still haven't heard anything from Georgetown
No,
on their proposal.
no.
just so these guys know.
They still thinking about it, do we know?
Yeah, well, we left it that, we told the acting superintendent that if they really are serious to actually present us with a, some sort of a working
I want
plan, maybe.
Hard copy of what they planned on doing, where they planned on doing it, before we'd even discuss it, because I don't even know what they're talking about, or where where they would be closing this, who owns the property.
Even if it's a one-pager to just start it.
Yeah,
I just
on a
want
napkin to give us something
a document.
to go by.
This is a fantastic.
Yeah, we haven't received anything yet, that's where we left it.
That was kind of tossed.
I like that there's no point in discussing it any further, because it's just,
Do we know if they're thinking about it still, or are they
Yeah.
something else?
they seem very serious, but
Yeah.
they sounded serious, but that's when we're like, well, then you should have some sort of a, preliminary plan that we can look over.
Yeah.
Or at least for a request, I mean, we don't know
Yeah,
how much and when and for how long.
right.
So that would
That's where that stands.
Yeah, okay, good.
General business number 2, I put that on just because it's time to start thinking budget. Bernie, did you want to work with these guys this year on the budget?
Absolutely,
Okay.
because it's something that everybody should understand.
Mhm.
What happened last year is that there was an error in the formula
Mm-hmm.
that meant that instead of, it was about $70,000 that was subtracted when it shouldn't have been subtracted because of the way the formula went. So there's enough wiggle room in there, but I don't know exactly where we stand on the budget at this point, but that is an
Mhm.
issue. I'd asked Debbie whether we should raise it in the special town meeting, and she said no, definitively, because everybody is going to be uncomfortable with the change in the taxes which will occur in the first bill, the third quarter bill, because that will a lot of that will show increases. So we're better off to try and work it out.
Well, we also put the $100,000 contingency in there too.
Right, but some of that needs to go, if we make that change, then we have to go to the selectmen to get some of the line items. The money's moved around in
Mhm.
different line items. So
But that's hopefully further down the road.
Do we want to talk about lowering the rates a little bit for next year? Let's
that's,
just hold them steady.
I think we should lower the rates if we can, and the dilemma is we've got to find out what our current run rate is and what's likely to
Our
happen.
contractor services is
Through
extremely.
the roof because we got stuck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's going to change.
Well, we have
At
to
the end of the
decide
year.
whether we're going out to bid.
That'll change.
Do
Going out
we
to
have to
bid.
go out to bid? Do we
Well,
have to
We
go out to
don't.
bid?
We don't.
The other thing is I've been talking to Debbie about the pen check too. Has to go out to bid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not.
We can get it in the budget, for sure, but not,
So I'm ready to start whenever you guys.
I'm ready.
feel.
Yeah, I just figured it's November. We should be at least throwing some preliminary figures together.
Well, we should do a scrub through of what our spend rate is now, so we
Mhm.
know what's going on.
I actually just sat down with Bridget for a few hours, kind of making sure that some of the money was being taken out of the proper.
Superintendent should be doing.
Good, all right. So we,
The work that you did last year, and Rob and Bob, I think is going to come to, pay dividends this year, and that
Mhm.
we're not cleaning up sins of the past.
right,
We now have a financially solid model.
yeah, and I think Bob and Rob, we worked through it collaboratively and effectively, apart from that glitch in the Excel formula, which we know where it, I went through so many eyes, I have no idea how it occurred.
Happens. But
That includes
You got
the
it?
accountants.
Yeah,
They
that
went
happens.
through it, and at a certain point, I can't even remember now when I let go of it and handed it off and they put it in but we know where it happened, so.
As long as you know where it happened and where it happened, you're golden.
if you fix it and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, no big deal.
Anything else?
So do you need to, we need to make a motion from,
You just start working on the budget?
yeah,
I don't think so. All right.
No. I just want to make sure that you were on board and willing to do it.
yeah, yes, it's more interesting than doing job descriptions, I can tell you that.
Mark, could I ask you, when you talked to Debbie about the contract services for billing, did she tell you that they were doing that at town hall?
She said she had to get going on that, is what she said. She actually brought the subject up.
So is she going to let us know when we need to?
I'd contact her.
Okay.
I had like a 10-minute talk to her, that's all.
Okay.
And we covered a gazillion different subjects. Minutes, October 2nd.
So who's
Yeah,
gonna-
look at number 7. We signed the contracts. This is the October 2nd meeting? Yeah. Number 7, we signed the contracts.
The same ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so.
So why did they send them again? Because I sent them on
No,
October
no,
30th.
it's the notice of award, I think you signed, I think that's what it is.
And we
Everything's
signed
signed.
those
Because
to
it's signed,
proceed.
the notice of award is dated October 2nd.
But did you sign the notice to proceed? Isn't that what you just
No,
said?
no, just the notice of award.
No, we signed, yeah, the notice of the award
Okay.
is, they've already signed it. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written, October 2nd.
Seconded.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Oh,
Aye.
Old business number 1.
Aye.
You're on, you're on.
I vote to accept the job descriptions as written. Just kidding. We gotta get through it.
No, we've got one change, I think these are almost ready to go. The one thing that I just want to sit down with Bob and Rob on is to work out how to position the hoisting license as part of the requirements on the distribution side. I didn't know what the terms meant, I guess is the honest. So what would help, I think, this is kind of hard work for you guys, is for you to read through the superintendent's job description. And just okay. So that kind of begs the issue of when our next meeting is, because we want to try and get this done as soon as possible.
I mean, next meeting of the week if you're ready.
Sorry?
I mean, next week if you're ready, 13th.
Yep.
Yeah, both, I'm open on 13.
Yeah, the 12th, just for everybody, is the observed Labor Day, of Veterans Day.
Yep.
But 13th, yeah.
Which would be a normal meeting night anyways. We jumped this one because we had to skip a couple, for various reasons.
So that's the 13th.
Mhm.
Then the
13th and the
following Tuesday-
27th is what I have.
Yeah.
Sure. The other thing too is if we do it next week, perhaps we can address the Grange's issues if they can get everything done for
Yeah,
themselves.
we'll get a data level this week.
And then, we can talk to them and if an appointment, et cetera, and that way they don't have to wait and
Mhm.
we can see the bill and et cetera.
Right.
Put that on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're in a serious financial situation now. We
Mhm.
should do whatever we can to make.
But I think it's more important to make sure that the problem's solved.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
But the
no,
issue is to
keep
solve
on.
the problem as fast as possible, because the money is dripping through somewhere.
Yeah, and I think we probably ought to adjust the fees too.
So if you guys can read through,
We'll read for all these before next Tuesday.
yeah, you'll notice that the ones for the distribution and treatment, they're basically they're cookie cutters, because
Mhm.
you remember from the previous discussion, you basically had a job description for the primary operator and the secondary operator and the entry-level positions on both distribution and treatment. And that then the other part of it is the change in the grade level. Changes in grade level are associated not with job descriptions, but with the accrual of additional licenses. And that's the system that we talked about last time. But, so it's not, it won't take you very long to go through they're really just 3 job descriptions. Because they're just minor variations of for the primary and secondary operator. As opposed to a gazillion that we had before.
Yeah.
And the same would go for you guys as well. I mean, then we'll sit down this week, and then you guys can forward to Kathy, and I can send Kathy a soft copy, and then you can make edits or comments on the soft copy, or you just make changes on those, and then
Get the old
Kathy.
I'll only ask her if I have changes, I'll ask her for it on that, you know.
Or Kathy can compile it in one.
Mhm.
Is
Just
that
like
okay?
Part, yes.
And so the next meeting will be next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, 6:30. That seems to be working best for you?
Yeah, well, I just can't get here any sooner,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Actually works better for me, so.
Oh, good.
And if I remember, it will work better for me as well. Because I was here at 6 o'clock.
Well, I did get an earlier train today trying to get some things done, but the tracks are slippery and they're all running 15, 20 minutes late. So.
Yeah, they got the track washer all washing the tracks every day.
Do they?
Going up and down the tracks. These 2 engines, this big tank of water spraying the leaves off the tracks.
Oh, that's why they were having problems, because it's like, they're still rails, they're always wet, it's leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Leaves and the residue.
All right, that's what's good. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.